I wanted to do this one with y'all live without any intros, no special segues. We just gonna jump straight into it. See the title. I would love to hear your feedback if this means anything to you or not. To each his own. I know we got all we got our own lives, but come on, at some point we gotta take some things to heart. This right here, I'll never understand, but I digress. Let's jump into it.
3,096 days. That's how long a 10-year-old girl will be hid in a hidden cellar inside of her kidnapper's home. This is a story of Natasha Maria Campush. Natasha was born on February 17th, 1988, but she was only 10 years old when she was walking to school and she was kidnapped by a man named Wolfgang and a last name that I don't know how to pronounce. A 12-year-old will be interviewed and reportedly saw Natasha being kidnapped by two men into a white minivan, but from Natasha's recount, there was no second men, but there was an actual white minivan that she was abducted into. This report would lead police and investigators into a massive investigation with over 800 white minivans being searched. It was within these 800 minivans that Natasha's actual abductor's minivan would also be searched. In his investigation with police, Natasha's abductor, Wolfgang, would tell police that the morning of her disappearance, he would be at home alone, he wasn't driving his vehicle, and the police would go, all right, good enough for us. He's telling the truth. Speculations of a CP ring and organ theft led police to a French serial killer named Michael with another last name that I don't know how to pronounce. But ultimately, suspicions would eventually die down because Michael would be found with no evidence. During her 8 years in captivity,
You know, so I got a question. Maybe someone can help me out here. At what age do you allow your children to walk anywhere by themselves? How old? I don't understand how a person can take their eyes off of a child that quick. I don't even know how a scenario like this plays out where there's not a parent or an actual adult anywhere to be found in order for something like this to happen. But I digress.
during her captivity, Natasha would be held in a very small cellar underneath Wolfgang's garage, with the cellar's entrance being located behind a cupboard. The door was made of concrete and steel. The room had no windows and it was completely soundproof. In the first 6 months of her captivity, Natasha was not allowed to leave the cellar whatsoever. Not at all, not even a little bit. She stayed in this windowless, soundproof box for 6 months straight. Slowly but surely, though, over the years, she would be able to go upstairs, downstairs, also clean the entire home under Wolfgang's command. And then sometimes, once he felt comfortable enough that she wouldn't do anything, he would take her on store runs very quickly, though. Natasha would go to extreme measures not to be scared. She would ask her kidnapper to tuck her in and read her bedtime stories, pretty much anything to preserve the illusion of normality. Natasha stated that even when she would be bathed by her abductor, she would go as far as close her eyes and imagine that she was at a spa. Her abductor would do very weird things like tell her he was some Egyptian god and make her call him Maestro and my lord. Throughout the years, Wolfgang would abuse young Natasha emotionally, mentally, SA her, also abuse her physically. From Natasha's memory, she remembered days where she would be beat up to a pulp. about 200 times within a week. He would starve Natasha, force her to clean his home half naked, and as punishment and somewhat of normality for Natasha, she was kept in complete darkness. On the day of her escape on August 23rd, 2006, at approximately 12:53 p.m., Natasha was cleaning and vacuuming the same van that Wolfgang used to abduct her. It was when he would get a call on his phone watching Natasha that the noise of the vacuum was too loud, so he chose to walk away. And in Natasha's mind, this was the perfect moment for her escape. In her first week in captivity, Natasha would have a dream at 10 years old that her 18-year-old self would come visit her in this dream and promise to set her free. Her 18-year-old self would tell her at the time that she was too young to fight back, to just keep herself safe, keep herself alive, and that when she turned 18, this 18-year-old self of Natasha would get her out of there. So at the moment of this phone call and the moment that Wolfgang stepped away, Natasha's life in regards to her freedom would change forever. Natasha left the vacuum to not raise any red flags to the man who was literally only feet away, not paying any attention. And she approached the gate
Yo,
in the front yard. And
I know it seemed far fetched and it really might not matter or mean too much to you, but how can a person survive that long? You got parents, I would assume, looking for you. You would think so, right? Friends, somebody would have to be putting out APBs and search parties for you. You would think so. Imagine being that young and you have to pretty much do and say whatever you possibly can to survive. You've been removed from your comfort, constant fear, have to normalize being essayed, being yelled at, cursed at, beaten. There's absolutely no love. There's no comfort. The only comfort that you get is from doing whatever is necessary just to wake up the next day as a child. You wondering if anyone is ever looking for you, if anyone can find you, if anyone cares. I could only imagine what's going through a person's mind. And what's interesting is you wouldn't think things like this happen, but they do all the time. And you wondering if people are out here praying and hoping and begging that somebody finds them, that someone is avidly looking for them. This shit right here, man, is absolutely nuts to me. Absolutely nuts to me.
saw that it was unlocked. And at that moment, she booked it. She just booked it. She ran through gardens. She ran many streets away. And she would eventually start screaming and jumping over fences, telling neighbors to please help her, call the police. She need help. Ultimately, about 10 minutes after she decided to run away, police would arrive. And Natasha would be identified by police by a scar that she had on her. Her abductor would finish his call completely without notice. And once the call ended, he would go to the van and saw the vacuum still running and his front gate swung open. Out of fear, knowing that the police were coming for him, he would call and confess to a friend that he was an abductor, a kidnapper, and a rapist. Very shortly after that, he would drive to Wine Nord, a station that was located in Vienna. At the station is where he would cowardly take his own life by jumping in front of an oncoming train. Almost 20 years since her brave escape, To this day, Natasha is doing better than ever. Natasha has wrote many books about her captivity, one specifically being called 3,096 Days. Even to this day, Natasha decided to purchase and own the home of her abductor Wolfgang, meaning she owns the same home that she was held in against her will for 3,096 days. Like and comment for more true crime stories.
Yo, that shit is wild. Glory and praise be to the Most High for finding a way out of that situation. The brother decided to take his own life. Even in doing so, he really didn't escape accountability. All he did was put himself in a place to where he will forever have to face it and live with it and die with it over and over and over again. God bless the young lady who went through this story. This should be a message to parents, to adults, to children everywhere. For one, the basics, not talking to strangers. Secondly, to keep your eye on your kids. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this story.